Inflation doesn't look like theft, and because nobody breaks into your house. Nobody empties your bank account overnight. Your money still says 100. Your paycheck still arrives. Your bank app still looks normal. And that's why it works. Inflation is the only tax that can be collected without sending you a bill. No vote. No headline. No officer at the door. Just higher prices. And the quiet feeling that your life is getting harder, even when you're doing everything right. Now let's remove the conspiracy fog and talk about incentives. Every government eventually faces the same problem. It wants to spend more than it can raise. War, crisis, subsidies, debt interest, politics, promises. And when the bill comes due, the state has three options. 1, raise taxes openly and get punished for it. 2, cut spending and get punished for it. 3, borrow and print. Then let inflation spread the cost across everyone. That third option is the quiet one, because inflation doesn't need you to agree. It only needs you to keep using the currency. And here's the part most people miss. Inflation is not just prices going up. Inflation is purchasing power moving. When new money or new credit enters the system, it doesn't land evenly on everyone's lap. It moves through channels. The people closest to the money spigot feel it first. Governments paying contractors, big institutions borrowing cheaply, banks expanding credit, asset markets getting liquidity. They spend while prices are still catching up. Everyone else feels it last. Workers negotiating wages after rents already rose. Families buying groceries after supply chains already repriced. Savers watching their cash sit still while everything else moves. So even if inflation is moderate, it creates a sequence. Early receivers win. Late receivers pay. No secret meeting required, just structure. And it gets even more powerful because it hides inside normal life. A price increase doesn't feel political. It feels like bad luck. But across an entire economy, it becomes predictable. The currency loses weight, and your future work buys less than your past work did. That is the quiet steal. Now here's the reason inflation is so attractive to states. It quietly helps them survive their own debt. Debt is a promise to pay later. Inflation changes what later means. If a government owes a mountain of money, inflation makes that mountain smaller in real terms, because the dollars used to repay are worth less than the dollars borrowed. That's why high debt systems always have a built-in temptation. Keep inflation managed, not eliminated. Keep it high enough to soften the debt burden, low enough that people don't panic. And you can see the pattern everywhere in modern history. When debt gets heavy, leaders talk about stimulus, support, flexibility, temporary measures. Different slogans, same incentive. Now look at what inflation does inside society. If you hold cash, you bleed slowly. If your wage rises late, you fall behind. If you're trying to buy a home, you get chased by asset inflation. If you already own assets, inflation can make you look richer on paper. This is why inflation often widens inequality even when nobody intends it to, because assets reprice fast. Wages reprice slow. And there's an even darker layer. Inflation doesn't only change prices, it changes behavior. When people stop trusting money to hold value, they stop saving, they start chasing, they speculate, they hoard, they rush to spend before prices rise again. That is how an economic issue becomes a social one. Trust collapses first, then stability. So no, this isn't a conspiracy. It's a design that rewards the same choices repeatedly. Inflation is politically convenient. Debt-heavy systems are tempted by it. And ordinary people pay in the only currency that matters, their purchasing power. Now here's the question I want you to answer in the comments. What do you think inflation steals first? Savings, wages, or trust? If you want more stories where money and power collide, subscribe to Hidden Money History, because history doesn't repeat, but it does leave receipts.